Hey guys, this is Adam Jones. Welcome to Perch Finder TV. Thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my YouTube videos. It's peeing down with rain. I've managed to get an hour just before dark. It's Monday. I've come down to the canal. Who knows what's going to happen, but like I've always said, you've got to be in it to win it. I've got an hour. It's been pretty drab all day, but it hasn't been raining for that long, so I think the water's been pretty stable for a few days, so fingers crossed we can find a few perch. Obviously, I'll take you guys with me on the journey. Hopefully going to go through a few little bits and bobs that I've been asked over the last kind of couple of weeks from the last video, retrieve styles, stuff like that. I've strapped on a TRD Bugs with a skirted Ned there. That's the motor oil TRD Bugs, which is relatively new to the UK. It's got a kind of UV active compound in the plastic, so I'm going to give it a go, see if I can find a few fish. I've also spiked it with a little bit of extra flavor sauce that I'm kind of playing around with as well, based on a few questions that I've had from here. So fingers crossed we'll find a few fish. I hope you guys enjoy the video. As always, thanks so much. If you have enjoyed the videos, please subscribe, please like the videos, please let your mates know if you think that they're going to enjoy them as well. And for the 4 or 5 people that continuously don't like my videos, welcome back. Hope you enjoy this one. Speak soon. Right, here we are on the canal. Rain started to slow down, which is nice. The canal is absolutely crystal clear. You know, we're only, what, a week into lockdown? Boat traffic has stopped almost completely. And lo and behold, the canal looks as healthy as I've seen it since lockdown. So all I'm doing at the moment is just searching the far bank. There's a few really nice features, kind of trees that are down, and a very, very obvious shelf. Just seeing if we can locate some of these fish. It's been a really nice stable couple of days, and I feel pretty confident that we can find something. Fingers crossed. So for those that have asked kind of what it is I'm doing with my retrieve, basically the concept for me all started kind of looking at crayfish, and the way that they react on the bottom. It's kind of where the clarity of thought for me came. I guess everybody will have their own kind of fishing thoughts on it. But for me, all I'm doing is bouncing this along the bottom. So it's obviously buoyant, so every time it sits on the bottom, it stands up and waves around, the skirt poofs out, makes it look nice and big and tasty to any fish that's kind of passing by or watches it jump past its nose. Retrieve wise, the kind of thinking behind it is, if you've ever seen a crayfish on the bottom, when they kind of perceive themselves to be at some sort of threat, they stand there with their claws up pointing at the threat that they can see, the fish or whatever, if it's you staring at them in the water, at the times that I've seen it. And they'll stand there and kind of eye you out, and have a little look and see kind of whether or not you are a threat, and if you're not, inevitably they just kind of scuttle off. But if they think that you are an imminent threat to them, they will swim away, and the way they do that with their claws up is they kind of push with the back of their tail, and they will literally bounce a couple of kind of puffs of the tail to not kind of expend too much energy. They will bounce away from the thing that is causing them threat. So my retrieve is kind of all built around that. So I'm trying to go kind of hop hop, let it sit on the bottom, hop hop, let it sit on the bottom, hop hop, let it sit on the bottom. Obviously you can do it a single hop, you can drag it straight across the bottom without a pause, you can drag it straight across the bottom with a pause. There are literally infinite ways that you can achieve certain retrieves in certain areas. You can do it with the rod tip up in the air, and kind of the way that I visualize that is more of a kind of upward hop, and then if I've got the rod down low, I kind of see that as more of a right along the bottom, not really getting too high, and obviously you're getting more distance on your hops, whereas when I'm jumping it up in the air, it might not travel as far, but you might get kind of more hop action out of it. And that's kind of my thought process. So it all came from crayfish. But the secondary question that I've had, obviously other than retrieve styles, is will this style of fishing work somewhere where there aren't crayfish? Now, 110%. This kind of doesn't really look like a crayfish. It could be a roach scuttling around on the floor. It could be a native crayfish, which obviously the likelihood is you've got those wherever you are fishing. It could be all manner of things. But the key to a lot of these bigger predators is they tend to be quite lazy when it comes to their food. And they will just be sat waiting for the easiest, highest protein offering that they can see wherever it is that they're stalking their prey. So whizzing a shad straight past the front of them sometimes doesn't cut it. Sometimes you will catch them and they will come flying out and absolutely smash it. But a lot of times those fish are expending energy, they're lazy, they're big, and something bouncing slowly across the bottom right in front of them that's the same profile as, you know, those bigger shads that you would use to try and search them out in the summer, can be absolutely devastating. So in answer to that question, if you don't have crayfish, or certainly don't have the American signal crayfish, then these methods can still be absolutely killer, and they can be killer really scaled down as well. There are loads of kind of options in terms of cutting down baits. You can fish tiny little shads on the bottom and do exactly the same thing. So you can fish those on a small weedless hook on a cheb weight and do exactly the same thing, just small hops and drags, bouncing it along the bottom in your kind of with a carp head on, like leading the bottom, looking for clear spots. You should be able to kind of build a 3D picture of the area that you're fishing, not just the obvious above water snags, but where the deeper holes are, where there's weed. For example, in this section I can feel there is a big weed bed right in the middle of kind of almost like pond weed. You probably can see bits of it coming up on this bait here. There you go. The bottom in the middle is like that. The edges are actually surprisingly clear. So for the first kind of 3 or 4 meters, absolutely fine, and there seems to be this kind of weed bed right in the middle. That once I get to, seems to be slowing down my ability to fish this properly on the bottom. So that's my thoughts. Do with them what you want. With all of this, just trial and error to kind of work out what works for you, what works in your location. Big pauses, little pauses. To be honest, I can probably only just about stomach a 5-second pause. Beyond that, I get a little bit bored. But sometimes, the fish will take deep into that 5-second pause. So if you're not fishing it slowly, fish it slower. And, if you're fishing it slow as well, don't be afraid to give it a go at fishing it fast every now and again. But for the most part, this time of year, there's more of that weed. A nice slow presentation along the bottom is going to help you pick out those bigger fish. So hopefully that's useful. Like I said, my thoughts on these skirts, any skirt is just obviously building that profile of the bait, and as that sits on the bottom, the skirt kind of puffs out, and I imagine it to kind of make small fish second guess and big fish absolutely not second guess. Small fish think it might be too big for them, and bigger fish think it's an even bigger lump of protein. So that's my thoughts on the skirt. So yeah, let's go see if we can find a few. The other thing to mention, like I briefly said, is experiment with rod tip up, rod tip down, close to the water, and obviously think about how that's going to change the way that bait's retrieved, and just get out there and give it a go. Right, so we can find a few fish. Yeah, there you go. That's a perch. That is a perch. That was a lovely, lovely bite. That's a big fish. That's it, just keep the pressure on it. Try not to let it get up, and then slowly bring it up towards the net when he's ready to come. Get in. Absolutely love that. Right, let's get this one out. Have a little look. Quick photo. See if we can find another one. That's a lovely fish. It's probably 2.5. You can see that new colour has not put her off at all. That's a lovely fish. Really big, solid, hungry perch. Right, I'm gonna get some photos, give her away, and get her back in. Hey guys, just thought I'd quickly show you this absolutely gorgeous little fish. Well, not so little, £2 13 ounce, 42.5 centimeters, and an absolutely gorgeous warrior of fish. Great bite, right in the middle of the channel, engulfed the lure, lovely fight, really fit. I've got absolutely no qualms with that fish, absolutely stunning. Landed, and like I said, almost 43 centimeters, and inside that lovely specimen £2 range, there is nothing wrong with that fish. They don't have to be they don't have to be £3, 10, they don't have to be £4. This fish gets my heart going in just the same way. I hope it does for you guys as well. Right, I'm gonna get it back in, and I'll speak to you very soon. Right, let's get this girl back. Hopefully we can see that. Nice and strong. There she goes. Absolutely gorgeous in the clear water. Waddling back to find her mates. Hey guys, just me, just a quick one. Wanted to just give you a quick heads up of what it is that I'm using to weigh and measure my fish. I use electronic scales, these sport scales from Rubiton, I think they're called, is it? Ruby and Heaton, something like that. Goes up in ounce increments. I can kind of tear that to my Corum snapper mat, which doubles up as a weigh sling, which is really, really useful. But inside my snapper mat, I keep a competition measure. This is a Spro Freestyle competition measure. It's made of a hard material that doesn't stretch, doesn't shrink, and these are super, super accurate for your centimeter increments. We're talking about fish that are, you know, massive, from 38 centimeters up to 50, and every single centimeter on the weigh counts. What I noticed with a lot of these mats with measure scales on them is they are fantastic, but they are just a guide. There's loads and loads of discrepancy on my Spro Freestyle mat, between 2 and 3 centimeters, depending on how much bigger the fish gets. And it's exactly the same with my Corum mat. They're not 100% accurate. So I carry that measure so that I can get an accurate measure of each fish that I catch, for my own records and for everything else. Like I said, I've measured fish on my Spro Freestyle mat at 48 and a bit centimeters. And then obviously on the competition measure, they're 46. So that's what I do. I just thought I'd let you guys know. Like I said, for many years, I was using these mats thinking that they were 100% gospel. It's worth having a look because sometimes they're actually smaller, and you're kind of doing yourself a disservice on them as well. So they're excellent things. Like I said, doubling up as a weigh scale, keeping the fish safe. But if you want an accurate measure of your fish, then grab yourself a competition measure as well. Right, let's go out there, see if we can find a few more. If I don't catch another fish, I couldn't care less. It's an hour before dark. Like I said, anything over £2 is an absolute win for me. So fingers crossed we can find one bigger, but I couldn't care less if we don't. Speak to you guys in a bit. Bye. What is that? That's got a very not perchy feel about it. It could have been a chub, I think. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, that's a fish, and that is a big perch. Yeah. 100%. Keeping her low, keeping the pressure on. That's a big fish. Yeah, that's a big fish. That's a lovely, lovely, lovely perch. Yeah, that one could be more like £3. That's a lovely fish. Again, absolutely smoked that bug, but no need to spend too much time unhooking her. What a beautiful fish. What a stunner. Right, let's have one more cast over there, and then we'll get this girl weighed and measured, a couple of picks, and back in. What a fish. What's the size on that mouth? Look at it. Oh, beast. Absolutely beast. I knew something was going on there. I think the fish that I lost previously was probably a perch now. It's just kiting a bit weirdly. Hey guys, me again. Right, she's not as big as I thought. I thought she was over 3. I'm just getting, just wanting one now. Much angrier fish, but £2, 12 ounce, exactly the same pretty much. Just over 42 centimeters. Looks like she's very much come from the same shoal. See from the fin, it's obviously a slightly different fish, but brilliant fight again. Absolutely nailed it on the deck. And I'm pretty sure the one that I lost beforehand was a perch as well. So see if we can find another one. They're obviously here. Fingers crossed. I mean, what? Been here half an hour, 2 nice big specimens, and plenty of time left. I don't even care that it's raining. So it's all good. Speak to you guys in a sec. All right, let's get the release on this rather fiery girl. Trying to swim into the back of the landing net, which is not where she's meant to be going. Got a lot of energy. Come on, up you come. Up you come. There you go. Look at that. Thank you very much. I'm not the only one fishing tonight. Just watched a kingfisher have two bait fish off the side of a bush, targeting exactly the same feature that I'm targeting or have targeted. I absolutely love stuff like that, as I'm sure we all do. You know, you get those comments from people, and I get it, you know, no, why are you out there, you must be nuts, just catching a few fish. And obviously it is about catching fish, but for me it is about so much more than catching fish. And it's examples like that of watching a bright blue kingfisher working their way down the margin that really does centre your mind, make you forget about all of the modern day things and focus on just connecting with nature and connecting with where the fish are and kind of zoning in that part of your brain. For me, I just think it's next level wonderful. But obviously it's all about 3-pounders. One of which I would dearly love this evening. But it's just brilliant to find some fish finally in an area that I can fish, of a club that I'm a member of, that's not weeded up, and that there's a few fish knocking around in. It's happy days. Yeah, that's a nice one. That is a nice one. So that bite there, I was actually moving, it's a cucumber. I was actually, oh, he's gone. That bite, I was actually moving the line around a leaf there. And I didn't feel the bite, I just saw the line start to move away. Now I've stepped up my leader, so this is 12-pound fluoro. As you can see, there's a little nick in that, but in fact no, it's 10-pound fluoro. That's 10-pound Drennan Supplex, which is 0.0, it's 0.3 mil. Now I'm not saying for 1 minute that this is a pike fishing trace, but there are few and far between pike in here, and fishing along the deck, I tend not to have too many issues. And like you could see there, you know, it gives you half a chance of landing the odd rogue fish that comes along. The reason that I don't tend to have too many issues with them fishing this type of style is because I'm fishing slowly and along the bottom. Now, that's not to say that pike don't eat crayfish and won't eat things presented slowly along the bottom, but for the most part I find that they take the bait slightly differently. If you've ever seen a pike pick up a dead bait, they kind of pick it up in the side of their mouths, and that's my experience with these types of baits as well. If you are fishing somewhere where there are more pike than there are perch, then, as you will see from all of the forums and all of the advice, fish a light wire trace. The reason I don't is because I can count on very, very few occasions where I've been bitten off with a pike, and I also fish exclusively single hooks. So if I'm fishing anything with a treble, if I'm fishing anything that swims, I will fish a light wire trace. When I'm fishing on the deck and I'm fishing for perch, I will fish fluoro. If I know the area really well, I might step my fluoro down. But for me, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, you know, a 0.3 mil fluoro in 10 pound, the supplix rather, is absolutely fantastic, and it will stop you from getting bitten off in those types of scenarios if you're fishing slowly. Do not fish it with a shad thinking that a pike is not going to bite through that. Like I said, fishing is an individualized pursuit, and you've got to use your own common sense, but for me, that's why I step up the fluorocarbon, and that's a prime example of that working. You know, that pike was probably 4 pounds hooked. I could see it hooked because it's obviously clear water right in the front of the top lip, from where it's just picked that up off the bottom. But yeah, another tip of kind of my thinking, and I'm hoping that that was the fish that I lost earlier on, that kind of kited on me rather than kind of head shakes. But let's see. Oh, that's a bite. Oh, it's a nice double tap. That's not a big perch, but it's probably 1.75 pounds. As you can see, I try and keep these perch down before bringing them to the surface, and then bring them straight up to the net if I can. Oh, I've made a right hash of that. There you go. Because I find that if you give them a chance to throw the hook, they'll take it every single time, and they use the I'm properly snagged up there. He's done me a kipper. And I find that if I let them get to the surface, then they tend to throw the hook. Like I said, it's probably 1.75 pounds, maybe 37 centimeters, something like that. I'm not gonna weigh and measure this fish because I don't need to keep her out any longer than she needs to be out. I'm just gonna get her straight back and see if I can find her mum. There you go. Right, get untangled. There's me trying to show you how to net a perch, and I let it get inside me. Classic. And I'm going to go see if I can find her mum. Yeah, that's perch. That's a nice one. Is it? No, about the same size as the last one. Good to see though. See if I can show you another better example of what I tend to do landing them. Keep them low, keep the pressure on, let the net out, bring them up straight in the net. That is a much, much smaller fish, but it's another perch all the same. Gonna get him unhooked and get him back. Oh, that's a decent perch. Typical, right, last cast, right as in the edge, absolutely slammed it. I don't know, it's not as big as the others, but it's a 2-pounder, that's for sure. There you go. Shows the merits of fishing to the last light, fishing it right into the edge as well. I was just starting to think about returning that, and there is another absolutely lovely 40+ centimetre perch with TRD bugs right in the top lip. Let's get a quick video, get her back, and I'll speak to you in a sec. Right, I'm not going to do a full video, but look at her. Absolutely stunning fish. Solid 40 centimetres, lovely big tail, probably 2 pound 1 to 2 pound 4, something like that. Lovely healthy fish, seriously starting to pile on the weight. Let's get her back, see if we can catch one more before dark, but what a short session. Thank you very much, you beautiful, beautiful thing. Right, the light is now fading. I'm pretty sure I'm going to head back to the car. But what a session. Just shows, get yourself out there. It might be peeing down with rain, but sometimes when the conditions are right, you can have an absolute ball. What a lot of fun. Right, last cast, and I mean it. It's probably in that weed bed, which it is. Bring it out of the weed bed. Nice and slow, just twitching it along the bottom. There you go, that's another perch. Not as big a fish, but again, in and around that 2 pound mark. Get the net out, bring her up, and drop her in. Yes! What a session. What a session. Right, again, I'm going to get her back. I know I said it was last cast, but you can't really finish on that, can you? My bait has gone straight through a hole in the net. Not ideal. But there she is, probably 30, 37, 38 centimetres, something like that. Just knocking on the door of 2 pounds. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning fish. Pretty much unblemished. Absolutely love it. Right, so many of you are going to know what I'm talking about, but this is the last cast. Unless I catch one, in which case it's the second last cast. Or it might not be the last cast, it might be the second last cast before the cast that I maybe catch one that then becomes my second last cast, because I'll have to have a cast after that just to double check that they're not feeding anymore. As you guys know, we can't you can't mess with science, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep the scientific experiment going. I suppose as well, you know, there's a bit of UV additive in these motor oils, so again, I'm sure Georgia won't mind if I'm slightly late, because I've got to find out whether or not it works in low light conditions. I know you guys can't speak to me at the moment, but I know that you're agreeing. I know you're listening to me in full agreement. So That's why I'm still here. So this, I mean, this could be the last cast, or maybe it's the well, yeah, I mean, it's not the last cast. That's what I'm saying to you. We don't need to lie to each other. I'm going to keep going until the bats come out, and I can't see where my lure's going, because there's no point in messing around. Like always, guys, thank you so much for coming to my videos. I really do appreciate it, and I'm so glad that, I've said it before, but I am genuinely humbled and over the moon that you guys are enjoying watching them, and that some of you are taking stuff from them, and others are just enjoying watching them. It's just so cool to be a part of this community, so thank you very much. I hope you have a great week. Hope you find a few fish, and tight lines until next time.